Hey y'all, it's Lucy, and I want to show you a fairy house that you can make. It's called the Winter Wonderland Fairy House, and it's really cool and easy to make, and I just think very cute. So I hope you will join me in the Winter Wonderland Fairy House making.
Now let's go over how to cut out the Winter Wonderland Fairy House in Cricut Design Space. So I've pulled up my Cricut Design Space and now I'm going to go to Upload. Upload is the file I'm looking for, the basic circular fairy house. That's the one I chose for this design. I just like it for using the winter elements. So let me go to upload and here's my file. I'm going to reduce the size on the screen as I pretty much always do. I'm going to ungroup it. The first thing we do in the layers panel on the right, ungroup, and now I see all of them as separate elements. For this one, I thought I'd use kind of this scalloped edge, sort of this funky little scalloped edge roof design. So that's my choice. I always move the things I'm not using away. I don't need my 1-inch square. I'm going to delete it. I'm not going to use the plain one. I actually want the wood grain design. I do need the lid to make a little cap so that the roof sticks onto the circular base better. I'm using different windows. I don't need this. This is actually a base pattern. We're going to have a snowflake for our winter house, and I don't need these windows. So let's move all of these kind of into my reject pile. I'm going to group them and click group and hide them. That way, if I want them again later, I can. There is a score line, one score line on this tab for the little cap to hold the roof on. This is the score line. Remember, when you click on it, I draw them in red, and you see the red square is the color for this line. We're at the operations menu. Scroll down to score, and then I'm going to select the entire piece in the layers panel. I selected the entire piece and attach it. And now Cricut knows that line belongs to that piece. Okay, the main reason I'm going over this is to show you a little bit about debossing. So again, I'm just going to group these and hide them just to illustrate a little bit about debossing. When you look at the components of this piece, you see this kind of black square thing. That is this wood grain pattern. Set it up in a similar manner to doing a score line. So I'm going to click on this section. I did draw those lines in black. It's kind of a clue. It's not score lines. Then I'm going to the operations menu and I'm going to click deboss under this section. It's just under score. If you don't have a maker, you can do either a foil tip on the Joy. I'm not sure if you can do, and you could do a foil tip on the Explore Air too. Let's go back to operations. Foil. So the foil tip will deboss lightly. It does it better than score, but it's still lighter than deboss, but deboss is basically on the maker. Okay, so now we've selected deboss, and then we select our entire piece again and attach. And now you saw how the lines became more prominent. That was a clue that Cricut Design Space changed it to deboss. And then when you put it into your machine, the first thing it will do is the debossing in the B clamp. You have to put your deboss tip in the B clamp and it will do the debossing. And then once it's done with that, it will go to the cutting. So you have to switch out the tip from the deboss tip to the fine blade. Right, so that is how you set up the main house structure for this project. Again, I'm going to hide that. And now let's do the snowflakes. I just want to show you briefly about the snowflakes. I'm going to upload. Okay, I found the file on my computer. This is it. And I'm going to click continue in this bottom piece. This is the image detail screen. I'm going to upload. And here is the entire file. I'm going to ungroup it as we always do. And now you can see all the pieces. I'm going to delete my 1-inch square. this is the base. This is what I chose to have for the base of the circular Winter Wonderland Fairy House. And I actually cut this out. I cut this out like 2 or 3 times in regular cardstock. I try to use heavier cardstock, and then one time with glitter cardstock. And that way it's not very flimsy. If you just do the glitter cardstock, it is pretty flimsy. So you're going to have to cut it out more than once, but it cuts quickly. Okay, let's zoom in for these. These little snowflakes have lots of detail, and they take a while to cut out. I didn't time it, but I'm pretty sure it's an hour or more. But they were as simple as I could make them. If you want to speed it up, then just do these more simplified snowflakes. They cut much faster. These 3 rows cut really quickly. I only did 1 row of this because I don't really like that snowflake design, but it cuts quickly and it's kind of a nice contrast shape. I'm going to reduce the size again just to see. These are the windows. So the windows have a cutout in them, and then I put a contrasting color on top, and they're kind of, this door is designed to be layered, but you can just use one if you want. It doesn't matter. So I grouped them kind of by color, so trying to make it easy for you. And all of these will cut out on, the snowflakes rather, will cut out on an 8.5 by 11 sheet of cardstock. So I lined up the rows so you would know that each row basically fits on a sheet of cardstock, at least in the, lengthwise. Okay, now let's go to construction. I just wanted to show you a few brief details and warn you that it does take some time to cut out the snowflakes. So on to construction. Let's get started making our fun little Winter Wonderland Fairy House. And I said I used the circular pattern with the cone-shaped top, and it's got a little cap in it to help keep the top on better. I use glitter paper for the top and then foil for the bottom. And you can see on this one, it's lightly debossed. I went over it several times. I actually ran it through my machine like 4 times so that I would get good debossing on the surface. You can use that with the maker, the deboss tip with the maker, but you can actually try a foil tip in the Cricut Explore Air or the Cricut Joy family. And it won't be as deep as this, but you can get some hint, kind of a hint of a wood grain. All right, so in order to construct, let's construct the cylinder first. Now, obviously, I've got a flat piece of paper and it needs to be round, so I kind of gently curve it. And you sort of have to be gentle about it, especially with the foil, because if you do it too extreme, it will make a crease. So I'm just trying to kind of tease it into shape. And then we'll kind of round it out once I should have had my glue ready. I'm using Barely Art glue because the foil cardstock is 65-pound cardstock and it's relatively light. So I'm applying it to this little edge that doesn't have the debossing on it. That's kind of a clue. It's a clue that it's a glue tab with no score lines. Okay, let's try to slide it. And you slide it so that, let me see if I can show you. It doesn't show in this window. So see, if I push it too far, you see the edge, so just to there. And let's see if it'll hold. And then again, you kind of want to round it here. The glue makes it thick. 2 layers of paper and the glue make it a little thick here. So I'm trying to round it without doing major bending, without, creating a seam. That's a pretty good circle. And then when we put the cap on, it'll help more. The windows go at the lower half. So that's the body right there. Okay. You have kind of a similar issue in terms of curving this paper with the glitter paper. This is also 65-pound cardstock, which is kind of nice because it's more flexible, and that makes it easier. So I kind of bend and sort of scoop around to make a cone shape. Again, no score lines. There's kitty hair. No score lines. And then I kind of move it so that the scallops line up. Instead of being like that, I just kind of gently ooch it down. So once again, I have to undo it so I can apply glue. But I've kind of established what the shape is, so I kind of get what the shape is. And sort of gently bend, and then kind of pull one side down just a little bit so it matches. And just hold it a second. I'm showing you the construction just because I use such different materials for this house. We've already made the circular house in the fairy series, in the fairy house series, but I didn't use glitter cardstock or foil cardstock, so that's why I wanted to show you. This is going to need a piece of painter's tape. So I just pulled off a little piece of painter's tape. I'm going to hold it like that. And I don't worry about this part up here too much because I need to make a stem. I want to have a little stem to pick up the, to be able to pick up the roof. I mean, you got this nice little pocket, little container shape. We might as well take advantage of it. Meaning we can use it as a container. One thing about glitter cardstock is it does not glue as easily as plain cardstock or even the foil cardstock. So sometimes that's one reason tape is necessary here. When I use a thicker wire, I actually use like needle nose pliers to curl it to make my little stem. But this stuff, this is just like a pipe cleaner, so I don't need, it's so easy to bend. So I'll put it in there, and then this is one time where I often use hot glue to make it stick better. Other glue would take forever to dry. I'm going to add some hot glue, and I'll be back in a minute. I just added hot glue to the roof, and we're going to let that dry. And in the meantime, we're going to decorate the base. All right, so I learned from previous houses that it makes more sense to glue the windows on, like if they have a background piece, to glue those on before you glue them to the house. I'm trying to add a tiny bit of glue. Let's do the door. And remember, the door is going to be curved a little bit on the circular house, so if you can kind of pre-bend it, which is actually easier with the foil paper, the foil cardstock. There we go. And let's go ahead and make the base. So I cut out 2 sheets of regular cardstock. This is actually 1 10-pound cardstock. It's a little sturdier. I'm going to glue these 2 together and then glue a glitter one on top. If you just do the glitter one, it's just so flimsy. I just don't think it would make a good base that way. But if we do 2 layers of the heavier cardstock and then the glitter cardstock, it's a pretty good base. And that's the base. I've got one that I've already glued together. And on my initial one, I decorated it with some extra snowflakes on the end. I like them, that match my roof. So let's see. So we're going to use these. Okay. I think that's cute. I like it. Maybe it's a little over the top, but, you know, fairy house. Okay. Now, I didn't show you how to make the cap. It consists of a circle and a straight strip with tabs on it. So the way I think it's easiest is to apply glue on the tabs as a strip, and then lay it down and then slide it under the circle. And I think it's real easy. So that is the cap. I'm going to glue these on once this is adhered to the base. It's much simpler once it's stable. When it's moving around, it's harder to get stuff to stick. So, again, I mentioned that it's hard to get things. Actually, I should use a stronger glue. I'm going to use my quick dry tacky glue because I mentioned that glitter cardstock is a little hard to get things to stick to. So, let's just push it down, center it. There we go. Move that to the side. There. I like it. All right. Now, we're not messing with this right now, but except that I'm going to glue the cap in place, and the cap keeps it from slipping around. So, again, glue around the edge, and let's place our little cone. I just kind of center it, push it down. Then you have to check to make sure it's even. And it really looks good. Okay, now I'm going to set the windows and the door aside. We'll do those in a minute once our base is more secure. And these are the cutouts for the snowflakes for the roof. That's what takes such a long time to cut. And lightweight glue, my Barely Art glue. It's not really lightweight, it's actually a very good glue. It's just for structure, I like a little more substance to it. It'll work, it just takes longer. So just kind of randomly apply the snowflakes the way you like. Oh, I wanted to say, when you're getting the snowflakes off of your mat, I do think it helps to use the little scraper tool, and I try to kind of ooch it under like a sort of a corner, and then so you can pick it up without tearing off the little snowflake points. One person told me about a glue pen that really sounded good. Sounded like it'd be a real lifesaver, especially for something like this. See, like, it doesn't want to stick very well to the glitter paper. It will eventually, but it requires some coaxing. I've almost got them done. Just a few more. Okay, I think that's pretty good. I like my little snowy roof. All right, next challenge. Let's put the windows and the door on. And I think what I'm going to do is apply some glue and let it set for a minute. Let it get tacky. Let it dry out just enough so it'll get tacky. And we'll have a better chance of it sticking. Let that sit a minute. Curve it. Go ahead and pre-curve it. Add some glue on the points. I'm just trying to slide it into place. Now let's try a window. Let's see. 3 windows. Now the final window. That's it. I just think it's such a cute little fairy house for wintertime. The Winter Wonderland Fairy House. So I hope you will try it and have fun making your Winter Wonderland Fairy House.